Hello and welcome to the Thursday show here on the Frontline Gaming Network. My name is Paul Murphy and I'm joined by Adam Camilleri.
Evening, everybody. Afternoon, wherever you may hail. Hello.
And Dustin Henshaw. Dustin, welcome to the show.
Howdy doody. Happy to be back again.
This is the Thursday show where we talk about all things thunder and lightning. No, I'm just kidding. This is the show where we talk about tournaments coming up, what you're going to see over the weekend, the big players that are playing, the list that are becoming prevalent. The list are forming up. This meta is changing, and we're going to talk about it. How are y'all doing this evening?
Yeah, good. I'm hyped for this weekend. I think this weekend is going to be superb. We've been spoiled, boys. We've been absolutely spoiled for the last 2 weeks, and that train ain't stopping. We're spoiled this week as well, and we're going to be spoiled again later in this month. But this week we've got 3 majors. How you feeling about it, Dusty?
Oh, I love majors, man. I love tournaments. I'm so happy that we have so much to talk about every week. It's been slow for so long, and now they're just getting crammed in all the time. I'm so excited. I love this. This is my favorite time of the year, Warhammer time.
It used to be where the start of the tournament season used to be like in April. Now, when does it start and when does it stop?
Hopefully never. Hopefully it just rolls and rolls
I don't
and rolls.
think it can't stop, right? We got to keep going now because the season kind of started off a little slow, but it's really picked up as the year went on, and now it's getting to the end. We got to cram all these tournaments in so people can get their points, right? We got to know an actual winner. We got to really crown a champion here.
Traditionally, there's usually that in the States, at least. I hear there's usually a bit of a lull. Is it after Adepticon and then before when Nova traditionally is? Is that correct? There's usually like 2 or 3 months lull there.
You know, when the ITC season, basically crowns the winner at the Las Vegas. I was just about to call it the Open again. That's how. Then there was a month or two, kind of a bit of a dip, and then we start to ramp up with Adepticon. It kind of used to be the start of that season, exactly like you're talking about. But now, our community is so big, and people are playing tournaments all the time, all over the world. We truly have a global community now.
Yeah, and no breaks is what I want to see. Just never stop, no breaks. Yeah. You want to go to a major every weekend and you really got the dollars to travel, I think you should be able to do it. And yeah, it's just really exciting.
So this week we're going to be talking about the Michigan Grand Tournament, the Fantasia Fanatic, and then Battle for Salvation, another major, all majors.
Yeah, it's like I said, we're absolutely spoiled. And none of these, so Michigan's the only one that's cracked the 100 players, but the other two aren't far off. They're in the 80s and the 70s, respectively. So technically, if we combined all of these, we'd be pretty close to a super major's worth of people playing highly competitive 40K this weekend. And there's a bunch of other GTs going on that we're not going to get time to talk about. So, man, things are alive and well.
Champions to be crowned. Dreams to be dashed. There's all types of things that are going to happen over this weekend, and we're going to talk about it. So let's jump right in. Let's talk about the Michigan GT.
Yeah, so 146 players. This one is from Lansing, Michigan. I've never pronounced
That's a place. It's a real place.
Yep, I got it right. Swish, nothing but net. The quick and dirties here. There's a bit of an interesting breakdown. So if the Imperium Super Faction, you guys should be seeing it up on your screen. And please, if you're not watching live or on YouTube, go and watch it because you're missing so much of the visual elements that guys, amazing producers Richard, Val, and the other members of the team put together for your viewing experience.
Don't forget to leave a like, share, subscribe, and a 5-star review anywhere that you are hearing this podcast.
Mate, I left the door open. You kicked it in. Imperium Super Faction, 14 Sisters, 12 Custodes. That's huge. 4 Admech, 4 Guard, or Asher Militarum, 8 Grey Knights, 4 Imperial Knights, totaling 44 players of the 146. Pretty huge representation from both Custodes, very respectable from Grey Knights, and kind of more than expected from Imperial Knights. What do you think, gents?
I'm excited to see so many Custodes too. Is it mostly dreads, or is it like Telemons and all that kind of crap? Or is
Ain't nobody got time for that. What do you think this is?
Come on! Don't you have time to go through every single list of this? There's only
it has to be.
The
Telemon. I don't want to say that it's that they're a must-have, that they're absolute auto-include in list. But if you're taking it to a tournament and you want to play well against a broad field, you can't go wrong with Telemons. And what I heard from players over this past weekend, just over and over again, like if a Telemon is in a quarter of a table, it's basically going to own it, and you've got to work hard to get it out of that.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. Spot on. And like the vast majority of the Custodes lists I see these days, they start with what amount of sword and board shield guard. and your ubiquitous single unit of Venatari minimum, and then what combination of Galatis, Achilles, or Telamon dreads, and that's essentially the core of the list. And you just build around whichever bit of your flavor that is. If you go on a battalion, of course, you start off with kind of almost 1,000 points spoken for just by the 2 HQs and the 3 troops, and then you add 2 Telamons, and you got like 300 points to play with.
Well, let me jump down to this Iron Hands stat here. Is it 5 Iron Hands? I will say that coming off of the U.S. Open Series for Games Workshop, where we saw an Iron Hands player rocking at the top of bracket, I want to say it's 3, and their list Iron Hands Heavy Dreadnoughts with a Land Raider.
Of all things,
what's the Land Raider? Yeah,
Achilles,
a Land Raider, Achilles, right, with the multi-melta and stuff. It just positions so well against things like, we say that Orc list are solidifying up where they're starting to find it, but we saw a gentleman by the name of Mark Perry come in there with a bunch of buggies, and that has been a list that's becoming more and more prevalent as people get it built and ready for paint or for play. And then to see like this Iron Hands list actually exist to be playing at the top of a bracket, and I think it would absolutely paste that Orc list. What is the change, and what does this new meta that we're talking about herald for resurrecting older codexes and their potential builds?
Well, you're exactly right. We've seen a bit of so I'll just go through the Space Marine super faction quickly, and then we'll talk to it. 2 unlisted Astartes, 6 Dark Angels, 7 Space Wolves, which is huge, 1 Blood Angels, 2 Ultras, 5 Iron Hands, 2 White Scars, 3 Death Watch, 2 Black Templars, totaling 30 people out of 147 taking their Astartes. Now, you're exactly spot on with the Iron Hands. If you want to, and for the same reasons that Custodians are good. The good things about Custodians, we just talked about the Dreads. Iron Hands is the same thing. It's almost like the same core concept. And we saw it's the Iron Hands have become the progression of the shooty Marine archetype. We saw it coalesce at the start of the edition with things like Iron Hands, like Ultramarines, and then pivot into Death Watch. And now it's gone back full circle back into the Iron Hands. And you think about what a Galatis Dread, an Achilles Dread, a Telamon Dread does in combat. Well, that's what the Ultramarines dreads do from range. They point at you from the other side of the table and they just pick you up. A Telamon does do that, but only does one thing each. Only has one significant gun and then a pinch hitting gun and then some close range stuff if you get up there. Whereas Redemptors, Contemptors, Invictors, Leviathans can have 2, 3, 5 damn guns on a Redemptor if you want, influencing 5 spheres of influence, 5 different targets. I think it's really interesting. Dustin, have you looked much into have you cracked much into the ever evolving Astartes metagame?
The Astartes metagame I play a lot of because one of my major practice partners is a Marine player, and he'll try every single chapter, every single build, and try all those things. I just played Space Wolves last night, which
Space Wolves are hot right now. I mean, we talk about bracket space. We saw lots of Space Wolves over the past weekend, and they were doing pretty well.
Well, there's 7 of them, boys. 7. There's more Space Wolves than Dark Angels, and more than Iron Hands.
It doesn't surprise me. The Space Wolves, because they actually give Redemptors a better close combat too. You can take the Wolfgar, which most people were taking the vets with Lightning Claws in White Scars because of the extra damage, but with double exploding 6s,
Space
Wolves, it's terrifying. There was when he attacked with one of his chapter masters, he would re-roll hits because he's already hitting on 2s just to fish for 6s. Get 14 hits on 6 attacks. It's ridiculous. It's so efficient. I'm not surprised that they do that.
You're talking about what people are saying is the traditional Space Wolf successors, right? That's the Born Heroes, Whirlwind of Rage.
The Born Heroes and the Whirlwind of Rage, yes. Yeah. Sorry, I should specify that.
But
in the Assault Doctrine.
Exactly. So Born Heroes gives you +1 to hit on when you charge. Whirlwind of Rage gives you exploding 6s on the first round of combat, and then their Super Doctrine, when they're in Assault Doc, gives them exploding 6s on top. So every 6 is essentially a Tesla hit. It's 2 extra hits on top, which you don't need to roll the dice; they just hit. And so when you got something like a Chapter Master or a Chaplain, you can just fish the 6s. You can just fish the 6s, and it goes nuts.
Wolf Priest Carl says it's all about the wolf pelts.
Wolf Priest Carl, he's got to be loving life at the moment. His Legion is in ascendancy.
This is his time. This is his time.
And look, let me jump down to the Chaos Super Faction here with the Death Guard. Look, you 11 Death Guard players. I'm a Death Guard player. I'm talking to the Death Guard players out there as I am one of them. We got to get our acts together. Can't just be putting up these player numbers and not bringing home some W's. All right, let's get on the podium, Death Guard.
The percentages, guys. You're messing the percentages. Let's go.
You're totally messing up. You're messing
Absolutely
up.
Right.
percentages.
But look at that. See, I keep expecting to see this gap closing. The number between the T-Suns are having 5 players in representation versus 11 for the Death Guard. I keep expecting that gap to close, and some events it does, and some events it doesn't. It's really interesting. But to run down
Thousand
the
Suns, they're a nuanced army, and there's no template out there for anybody to follow. So really, what I think that I think the Thousand Suns need to lean deeper into the psychic phase than they are currently leaning. Now, there are things out there that counter it. I think that there are Adeptus Sororitas out there that can counter it. Space Wolves can counter it. Heck, Iron Hands can counter it. And you're going to encounter those things. But I still think more often than not, like look at this, 146 players. Yeah, it's very unlikely that you run into one of these other factions that can counter you during a round that matters. I should say all round. All the rounds are important, but to a round that may be like the perfect storm of bad mission, bad deployment, bad, whatever, or for you, lean heavy into the psychics, and I think the Thousand Suns are going to do better. Death Guard, lean into those flesh mowers, and let's get some finishes.
The rest of the super faction, 1 Chaos Soup, 2 Chaos Space Marines, just a re-rack, 5 T-Suns, 11 Death Guard, 2 Chaos Demon players, racking up 21 total of our 146. And let's just keep going straight into the Xenos. 9 Necrons, 10 Orcs, a single Tau, 20 players.
There's a Tau player.
There's a single Tau.
I haven't seen one in forever.
Last 2 weeks, donuts. Not a single Tau player played their faction in the last 2 weeks. It's kind of ridiculous. And
the Tau are struggling right now. So the Tau, I think that I don't know too many players, especially tournament players, that just have Tau as their primary army, or their only army. I shouldn't say their primary; is their only army. A lot of tournament players, I think, Tau are some of those things that you kind of see their effectiveness go because they only compete in the shooting phase, and then they're dependent upon stats of the units and modern weaponry and techniques, and they are a little bit behind at the moment. That's why I think we won't see Tau and people that want to come and engage in tournaments are opting for one of their backup lists. Maybe that's why we see so many Death Guard or what have you.
Exactly right. Yep. People are playing their second fiddles because Tau just isn't in there right now. And
10 orcs.
You do see... Yeah, dude, 10 orcs. So just to summarize the faction podiums here for representation, Sisters, Custodes, Death Guard, Orcs. That's our top 4.
Lucky Fractal says Adeptus Sororitas may win this thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
14.
I can see
14 lists. This is the first time I think I've seen Sisters be the most represented faction. Usually they're like one of the top 5, but I think this might be the first time they've been number 1 in my mind.
Yep. Well, what pairs well up against Adeptus Sororitas? I mean,
so nothing pairs super well. Nothing is just like auto going to beat them if they take a really nice, well-rounded list. But some stuff like Drukhari's traditionally match up quite well since the faction.
Well, they can trade unit for unit and typically
they
trade
got to
up.
be able to trade unit for unit. I think that's the big thing with Sisters because they can play at the same game that Drukhari do in terms of trading. They just do it better against some lists, worse against others.
Well, a multi-melta going into a witch unit is
okay. If you're flirting with multi-melta into a witch unit, you're a little desperate at that point. Let's be honest.
Exactly right.
Well, I mean, it comes with the tools that you bring. What I've said about the Sisters for several weeks is the Adeptus Sororitas. They have the ability to really transform their list based on what they think they're going to have to navigate through. And if you find them, basically catch them off guard, then you could run into those situations to where you're firing. Flamers into dreadnoughts or multi-meltas in their witch units.
All right, so give you gents the rest of the synopsis. Hive Mind super faction, 3 3 Hive Minds. That's mixed.
And one of those players of the Hive Mind is in the chat. The RPG Luminary. Thanks for the comments every week, and also sent in his list to me on Twitter to check out during the show.
Oh, perfect, my man. We'll be going over that.
2 Tyranids and a donut for the GSC. A small tear comes down Dustin's cheek.
Yeah, I can understand it. There are 3 Hive Minds, so they're still there. They're still. Let's be real. Pure GSC is a little bit harder, and I've said it before. Bringing them with Tyranids makes sense. I'm not too upset about that because they're still represented.
Yeah, and so lastly, Eldari super faction, 2 mixed Eldari, 5 Drukhari, which is way unders, boys, way unders.
Yeah.
3 Harlequins and 0 Craftsware Eldar. 5 Drukhari is like the least amount I've seen in months.
Yeah, okay, 5 Drukhari, 10 orcs. So some of those, just I guess fair weather Drukhari players have obviously switched to orcs.
Archons of Opportunity is what we'll call them from now on.
That's accurate. Very accurate.
But yeah, it's so far under. It leads me to believe I don't think Drakari is going to win this. But we'll jump straight in and talk about some of the top players in attendance. We've got, and this is why I think Drakari will make a podium, but I don't know if they're going to get number one, because Brad Chester's going and he's like second in the world or second in the USA. He's
lost very few games recently.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very few. He's playing his traditional Strife Techno Blackheart Triple Patrol. He's got 2 Succubuses and Archon, 3 units of Hellions, which is interesting. He's one of the only people taking that many Hellions. 2 units of 2 Chronos, 3 units of 5 Incupi, a unit of Blood Brides, 3 Raiders. It's pretty homogenous, pretty straightforward as we see it right now. The only real addition he's got in there is those 3 units of Hellions, which I'm a big fan of personally. But gents, any thoughts before we move on?
Nah, this is just a lot of these list advocates are almost like archetypical of what we expect. We can basically just kind of hit the high points and get on to
and
the
move on.
It's
to the
pretty
stuff.
close. I do like the Hellions, though. I agree. I love the Hellions.
Well, what we saw previously was that they were able to engage flying units, and flying units are becoming more popular because of they can deny interaction on the table, and we're seeing that become relevant again.
That's a big deal. But they're -1 to hit 2 damage, and they can reroll hits or reroll wounds because they're Strife, right? So it can do a lot of damage.
Absolutely. Next person in the next top player in attendance, Colin Mcdade, who's 5th in the USA, playing Orcs, Freebooters. He's got a Patrol and an Outrider, both are Freebooters. He's got bosses on Warbike and War Trike, 3 Dakar Jets, 1 Wazbomb Blaster Jet, 5 Scrap Jets in a 3-1-1 configuration, and 4 Squig Buggies in a 2-1-1 configuration.
Almost on cue, here we are with some flyers.
And then 3, exactly. And then 3 single mech guns to try and pop that Freebooters if they can see any easy targets. This is a really good list, boys.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's very incredibly strong. There's, of course, utilizing a lot of things, and the Freebooters is, I think, the dominant clan culture at the moment.
Definitely, especially when you're leading so heavily into the Dakar Jets, because the Dakar Jets, you know what they're really good at killing? Dark Eldar. Like good at killing
phenomenal. Yeah, absolutely phenomenal. And I think everyone's sleeping on the Blaster Jet, the Wazbomb Blaster Jet. I love that thing in the mirror match because it has like 2d3 strength 8 d6 damage shots. So when you play against other orcs, you just rock up and ice 2. This guy just ices 2 buggies turn 1.
Oh, it's not even that too. I didn't realize that it hits on 3s naturally. Its ballista skills 3 up. I didn't know that. It's an orc plane with ridiculously strong weapons that hits on 3s normally. Yeah. That's not okay.
I mean, why wouldn't you take it? Yeah, that's
why wouldn't you take it?
Next up, we have Thomas Ogden, 14th player in the USA, playing Admech, Mars Double Patrol. He's a veteran cohort. 30 Rangers in a 25-5, 20 Vanguard, 6 Chickens, 2-2-2. 2 Disintegrators. I'm interesting to see. I'm seeing a lot more Disintegrators. He's got 3 Flyers, 2 Bombers, 1 Stratoraptor, and only 5 Ruststalkers. So very light on the Sicarians. Usually when we see the vet cohort being paid for, it's to minimize the Rangers and the Vanguard, which you have to pay extra points on, and then maximizing the Sicarian bodies that get all the buffs from all the stratagems, but you don't have to pay any more points for the bodies. And so usually we see that, but this guy's gone the other way around.
No, I think he's wanting to push as much as he can forward with the Flyers, do all the damage he possibly can, but still just have that brick in his backfield. With like where I think this list might struggle if it was the other way, is that everything's forward and there's nothing to screen out the back, so you are susceptible to things coming and taking anything in your backfield.
Yeah. I'm also quite worried about mass 2-up saves getting aggressive onto him. I think of things like White Skies, like Space Wolves that can just run up and put just a bunch of like Storm Shield save Marines in your face, and you've only got 5 Ruststalkers to try and dig them out, and most likely if you're doing that, they're going to have a lot of fights last to apply here, there, and everywhere. So I worry about that matchup into some of the more aggressive Marines. Hell, even some of the Death Guard out there could give this some issues, but I'm pretty sure Thomas is well and truly on top of everything, so I'm sure he must have a plan for this list, or he knows exactly
Death Guard all the way. Susceptible to anything that's susceptible to Death Guard. That's what we need right now. That's what Death Guard players need right now. It's getting ridiculous. 11 Death Guard players. I want to see some trophies.
I want to see some results.
At least one podium. Come on. Well, we need to see one Death Guard on the podium. Who's going to do it?
I'll settle for best sport. Just get something.
Best sport. Okay. Hey, that's fine.
Well, dude, we'll say right now, Paul. If a Death Guard player makes a podium this week, we're going to call them out and congratulate them on next week's show. That's a commitment.
There we go.
That's a commitment. We're going to say your name and call you like Mortarian's chosen son or something. I don't know.
Is that a good thing?
Probably not. But the last of the top players in attendance, Ryan Snyder's in attendance, 20th in the United States, playing Custodes. He's got a Shadowkeeper's patrol, single patrol, shield captain on bike, unit of Sagittarium, 5 bikes with salvo launchers. Now, I've got some reasons why I think this is here. He's got 5 Venatari, 2 Achilles Contemptor Dreads, and then 2 Caladiuses and an Eversaw Assassin.
I like the inclusion of that assassin. I do.
I love it. I wish it wasn't starting as an Eversaw. I wish it was starting as a Calexis and could get switched out to an Eversaw if he needed to. But starting as an Eversaw and then switching to a Calidus or a Calexis isn't a huge deal, because the Eversaw is good into, it's great into AdMech, because you pop up from reserve, charge from out line of sight, kill half a ranger brick by himself, no problems, and exploding their lines. It's great. But having the Calexis in for the Death Guard Grey Knights T-Suns matchups, when and you're only a single patrol, so this guy's got CP to burn. He's starting.
I do like that. So many folks, they come into a game with 5 to 9 or whatever CP, but I like having a bunch, especially for the Custodes, because you just can pull so many tricks. Oh yeah, I just did that. You didn't think I could do it. You didn't expect it, but here it is.
Boys, why do you think he's got 5 bikes with salvo launchers? Just why do you think?
They're great anti-vehicle at range. Those salvo launchers actually do a lot of damage.
Aren't they strength D? It's like strength 8, D3 damage or something like that. Is it
D6 damage?
D6 damage.
Bunch. They've got a 1 CP strat to roll Melter, as in roll 2d6, take the highest at max range.
Oh, that way take your buggies back home.
Exactly right.
Yeah, they're perfect.
Spot on. And this is one thing, outside Telemons, Custodes really struggle to get mass strength 8 fire. Really struggle. And so I think this is a good solution. Defensively, I don't like them. I really wish they were 1 more wound. 4 wounds on them is not enough. They should be 5 at more toughness or something. They're just not tough enough for their points. But offensively, they're still very good, I think.
You talking about the Custode bikes?
Yeah, the Vesperators.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, they got a great save, and you can also come in with them. You can keep them off table if you need to, and bring them in.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's one of the benefits of having a bunch of command points, is that you can. So that's what I mean. You get tricksy like that.
And stooping dive is still phenomenal. If anybody tries to get aggressive on you, you're just like, you're cool. You get to charge these Sagittarium. I don't care about 5 bikes to the face. See you later. Really good. All right, jumping down. What's the next event, Paul?
Well, I want to talk about the hive mind. We got to get that on the screen.
Yes.
So Dustin, look, just to quickly. I mean, I want to run through every single unit, but give it a hot or not take on the list.
You can read it out for us as well, Dustin, when it comes up.
I gotta wait for it to come up. Sorry. All right.
Let's see. You got that?
I think I got this. All right. I gotta move my mic over with me here so you can follow me. All right, what we got here? Stop moving it, Richard.
Production is not making it easy.
It's like we're hitting a moving target here. All right, so we have patrol detachment with its Kraken with a Hive Tyrant, Double Devourer, and Adrenal Gland's Wings. That's pretty standard with adaptive physiology. I'm assuming he's going to give it. I don't think it's listed here, but I would assume he gave it a murderous size. Psychic Scream and Onslaught. He has Resonance Barb, so he's juiced up. And a Swarm Lord. Droops. He's got 12 Gene Stealers, 16 Gene Stealers, 10 Hormagaunts, 23 Devourer Termagants. Yeah, spicy. I like that. Lictor, Pyrovore. I'll tell you right now, I always take a Pyrovore with the Lictor now just because it evens out the points at 65. It drives me nuts. It just slots in perfectly. Dimacaron, just 1 diamond now makes sense. And he's got another patrol with Kronos. I can tell you without looking at it what's going to be in this one. There's a Neurothrip with some Biostorm Rippers.